Now, earlier this week, Lionel Messi formally requested a transfer from Barcelona. And of course, this news, he sent his request by fax. It's official, and it caused enormous surprise and indeed shock around the world, not just, of course, in Spain, but in South America. Messi is one of Argentina's great heroes. And in England, it alerted clubs, particularly Manchester City, where his former coach and mentor, Pep Guardiola, is the head coach, alerted City. And last night, there was a story circulating in England that Lionel Messi had spoken to Pep Guardiola and that a move to Manchester City might be on. There are huge implications for everybody in all of this. And we're joined now from Barcelona by Richard Fitzpatrick, who guides us through all things Spanish football and is an Irish journalist living and working in Barcelona. Richard, when the news broke last night, it was obviously very exciting. The prospect of Lionel Messi playing in the Premier League is very exciting and has enormous consequences, most of them positive for the Premier League. First of all, what do we know since we last spoke to you? What developments have there been?
Yeah, it's a moving target. We spoke a couple of days ago, the day after, the evening after Messi announced by Burofax. This is a word we've all come to understand here in Spain and around the world. It's kind of effectively a legally binding document that he sent to the club. The New York Times revealed on social media that they had never used the word before in one of their articles in a century and a half. The club are waiting on him to send another Burofax to clarify his position because he's due back for a medical test at the club on Sunday and training on Monday. But the club believe that if he returns on Sunday for this medical test, he will be going against the letter or the spirit of his original Burofax, which claims that he's a free agent from August 30th. But Messi's camp is thinking that he doesn't want to create a war with the club. If they go down a legal battle route, it will create all kinds of problems and it'll be very difficult to get him out of the club and get a deal done. At the moment, all roads are leading to Manchester. Man City are in pole position to sign him. Messi spoke last week on the phone with Pep Guardiola. His father, Jorge, is his agent and manager. He's been negotiating. He's currently in Australia or in Argentina, in Rosario, their hometown. But he's due back on Sunday. He's been in contact with the club. And they will speed up negotiations next week, most likely in Barcelona. Ferran Soriano, the Man City CEO, would come to the city to try and hatch out a deal. But the big sticking point remains Messi's contract. He is contracted to stay at the club until 2021. The club dispute his right to leave on a free transfer, which Messi claims he is entitled to do, given the extension of the season past the original original June 10th date.
Yes, and June 10th is the point where Barcelona would have expected their season to end. In fact, because of the coronavirus pandemic, it didn't end until they were beaten 8-2 by Bayern Munich in the Champions League a fortnight ago. Now, Richard, has there been any clarification about the legal position? His claim versus Barcelona's claim that he didn't exercise the option on June the 10th when he might have. His argument, just to a layman, that effectively the true meaning of his contract was he could exercise it at the end of the season.
Yeah, it depends on who you speak to, what lawyer you speak to. Both sides have strong claims. The contract specifies this June 10th date, 10 days after the season would normally conclude. But Messi is saying that because of, as you say, because of the pandemic exceptional circumstances, that has now extended 10 days beyond the conclusion of the Champions League last Sunday night.
Yes.
So both sides are sticking to their guns. A transfer, I think we mentioned the last day we spoke, could go through according to FIFA, but it would be left to the courts to squabble over who pays who. Effectively, yes. Messi would be on the hook for 700 million because he's that's his buyout clause, and by extension, Man City would be would have to come in and pay some of this in theory. The noise coming from Man City's camp is that Messi is happy to sit out the season if it means going on strike. So it's an unholy mess. But both sides have legitimate legal claims at the moment.
Yeah, and the effect on, on the game in Spain, I take it not only in Barcelona, Catalonia, but across Spain. There is enormous surprise and shock at this news because he is, whether you're a Catalan or not, the greatest player maybe they've ever seen. Ronaldo, maybe some would argue, accepted.
Yeah, and very much so. He's universally admired for sure. There's people in Real Madrid's fan base wallowing in the news. Diario AS on Wednesday had a screaming headline, "Adios" by Burofax on their front page.
Yeah.
But football fans just delight in him because he's so entertaining, so exceptional. It would be devastating for La Liga, the damage to their brand, and yes. Also obviously in more concrete terms to Barca. The scale of his success at the club, it's really important to point out. But Barca wasn't always a great club. It was really good in the 30s and in the 50s, but then it went into the doldrums. It only won 2 league titles between 1960 and 1990, and then Cruyff came in as manager, and they won a European Cup in '92. But they were still, one of a pack of big clubs at that stage. It was only when Messi arrived on the team in 2004 that the club has transformed into this super club. Yes. Arguably the best in the world. 10 league titles in that 15 or 16 year career, 4 European Cups on top of the original one. So the vista, if he leaves, he's a guy who scored 634 goals at the club. The next highest scorer is 400 goals behind him on that list.
Yes, and one of the triggers for his decision to depart was the arrival of Ronald Koeman as head coach, and Koeman's immediate decision to release Luis Suarez, who is Uruguayan striker, a very good player, better than that really at his best. And of course, Messi's best friend, a neighbour in the area he lives in. Kids go to school and their wives have a business together. So that was one of the reasons, or maybe the catalyst on the day, but there are many other reasons for his discontent as well.
Yeah, it definitely. Suarez was the straw that broke the camel's back. Within 24 hours of him getting the axe from Koeman, Messi fired off his burofax. They, like you say, they're best friends. They were on holidays together in Ibiza the week before the Bayern Munich game. They were on holidays again up in the mountains in the Pyrenees when Messi had to return to the city for a meeting with the new coach, Koeman. They were out for dinner in a restaurant in the city on Wednesday this week. That was a big factor in Messi finally just throwing in his cards. The other factors, there's so many of them that have built up over the years. This animosity he has with the president Bartomeu. It goes back to his original contract back in 2017 when he signed and put in this unusual clause allowing him to go to leave for free at the end of each season. You had this scandalous situation with this social media company setting up fake accounts to promote the president and smear his enemies, former players and greats like Pep Guardiola and Xavi, and of course current players like Messi's wife. There was a post saying, "Oh, this woman is she's like a lioness. Look how she comes out to protect her boy when he gets attacked in social media." I mean, scurrilous kind of attacks from your own president. And then, of course, the situation with the football project, and this would be the big beef with Messi. Bartomeu has squandered euro after euro on players that haven't succeeded at the club. He's gone through 5 sporting directors since 2015, and Messi looks up at Manchester and he sees a project that could deliver him another Champions League trophy. And crucially, he sees that Pep Guardiola is head coach there. That would be a determining factor for him. Guardiola transformed Messi when he took over as coach in 2008. At the time, Messi...
He did, yeah. He shifted his position.
Exactly, from wing to false nine, centre forward. His goal scoring stats went through the roof with the result. And he had the best 2 years of his career with him. And he also has, Kun Aguero is one of his closest friends. He's godfather to Kun Aguero's son. And that whole Manchester City project is run by ex-Barca executives. Yeah,
including Solano, who is a former Barcelona man. He's going back to do the deal now.
Exactly.
Or try to.
He's the CEO and the sporting director. Chiqui Begiristain is a former player under Cruyff in the 90s. He's another a cohort of Guardiola from that team.
So what's your best guess? You were skeptical the other day, Richard, when I asked you if he would leave Barcelona. Are you still as skeptical, or are you kind of... is there anything in the last 48 hours that's caused you to believe maybe he could end up in the Premier League?
Yeah, the story has moved on in the last 48 hours. It still has a long way to run because the transfer market doesn't close until I think it's the 4th or 5th of October. So you've got about 5 weeks of haggling. But we've seen in the past these deals can fall through for different reasons. Money is the big sticking point here.
Yeah, can you tell us what Messi's salary is and what Barcelona would be looking for? Because City are subject to football fair play scrutiny, and we're very lucky to escape through the court of arbitration door and avoid being banned from the Champions League. What does Messi earn each year? I mean, the figure I've seen is around 50 million, but that's probably on the low side.
Yeah, it is. Barca, the club, pay him 106 million a year in this contract that's been running for the last 3 or 4 years. So that's a gigantic salary in comparison to his peers. Like it would be almost double what Cristiano Ronaldo would be on, or Neymar Jr. So the club it's backed itself into a corner. I mean, its salary base would be 69% of revenue, whereas Real Madrid's, for example, would only be 52%, and that's because of Messi's salary. His transfer fee, that's the big thing. Messi believes he can go on a free, but Barca are digging in. They say there's no way they'll let this guy go for free. It would be so embarrassing, and they need the money.
Yes, I mean, that's a factor, isn't it? That they do need the money. Because of all the money they've wasted, and because of players that Ron Koeman would want to bring in.
Yeah, that's a very important point to raise. They would need the money to rebuild the squad, buy in another Galactico or wannabe Galactico to give the crowds illusion or excitement, as they say here in Spain. But the bigger issue here is, and it's really important to stress this, this current board, Bartomeu and his directors, they are on the hook and they're personally liable for any debt that the club accrues during their regime, which goes back to 2015. So they need to balance the books. They have 2 transfer windows to do this. And it's interesting, Bartomeu, yesterday he offered his head on a plate to Messi's father. He said, if I'm the problem, I'll go. But one of the conditions was that his lieutenant, Jordi Cardener, that he would come in and replace him. So it wouldn't be a regime change, but Bartomeu knows that he needs to balance those books. So that's one of his conditions. He's effectively just buying time. So the transfer fee, the buyout clause is 700 million. Obviously, that would never happen. But they would negotiate a fee. The sources here are saying the club want it to surpass the fee that was paid for Neymar 3 years ago. But that was in an inflated market of 222 million. That's not realistic. Messi's real market value, I would say he's 33. It's probably like 115 or 125 million. Man City would try and negotiate player exchanges to bring down that fee. Eric Garcia already wants to return to Barca, their defender. There's other names being mentioned, Gabriel Jesus, Mahrez, Angelino. But player exchanges are also difficult to organise because you have to persuade the player to leave.
Most of the City players last season, you wouldn't be dying to get them, to be honest with you, Richard. Not really. Aguero is the exception, of course, but he's been injured. Okay, well, so finally, are we a little more likely to see Messi in the Premier League than we were 48 hours ago when we spoke to you then, do you think, Richard?
Yeah, for sure. All the signs are that Messi has resolved himself. He's made up his mind. He wants to leave. That's the big factor in this case. The rest, the lawyers, the accountants will work out. But and
it's a big call for Ronald Koeman, isn't it? The incoming head coach.
Oh, sure. Look, he's walked into a frightful situation. He's washed his hands of it now. He delivered all those bullets earlier in the week to the other senior players in the dressing room, particularly to Suarez and Arturo Vidal, 2 close friends of Messi. He says it's up to the club now to resolve this situation. I mean, if the president resigned, would he stay on as coach under a new regime? That's difficult to see. So he's in a sticky situation. But he'll deal with the cards he's dealt with. If Messi does go, I mean, they already have a ready replacement in Griezmann in the squad. He's about as good as you get as a number 10, arguably at the moment, at the peak of his career. But there's just going to be such a fallout over the departure that it doesn't augur well for the club next season.
Okay, Richard, thank you very much indeed for joining us from Barcelona, and we look forward to having Lionel Messi in the Premier League. Maybe we can look forward to a bit more hope after that. Thank you very much, Richard.